qualified as a doctor 2 years before I joined the army.
Well, I was brought up in South Derbyshire and then was fortunate to get into Manchester University Medical School, and we met in the second year of my course there.
Every time we got a job, we applied for postponement of national service, but that ran out. So in fact I then had to do national service, of course, and very much the last intake of national service.
I think it was something I knew would always happen. I mean, when I was at school, boys at the grammar school, a lot went at the age of 18. So we'd always known about it. And I thought that it would catch up with us sometime. Just unlucky that a month later, and of course we shouldn't have had it. But what would life have been then? We know not, do we?
Officers in general were discouraged to marry until they'd become the rank of captain or been in their 30s. The national servicemen was unusual, because very few of the national servicemen I was with were married, in fact. So it was unusual. It was an inconvenience to the army, I think, really, because the marriage allowance and all the rest of it was very, very poor.
We had been courting, you see, for more than 4 years, and we waited until we'd both qualified. I was a year behind him before we got married. And then, of course, national service reared its head. We were married in the March before national service in the August.
And my wife, we had to think about where Patricia was going to be. That was would be determined where I was posted, of course.
Well, we knew that initially he would be based in the south of England for the initial training. So I left Manchester and got a job in the south so that we could see each other more.
I was posted to Aden, to the British Military Hospital in Paris, and then Nuneaton, where I finally ended up. It was to do with the care of people coming back from the battlefield and the rehabilitation of them.
And then when he was moved up into Nuneaton, as you said before, I was in Tunbridge Wells at the time, I realised I'd got to give up that job, which I liked very much indeed, and to start from scratch again. But obviously that was the thing, so we got a house to go to. The first house, you see, that we'd ever had.
I arrived at Nuneaton and realised I was in the officers' mess, and it dawned on me that the officers' quarters, there were several houses empty, and in all innocence I asked the commanding officer, the wonderful Colonel Patrick Porteous, is it possible for me to bring my family here? He, of course, being him, said immediately, well, there's several empty, why on earth not? I wasn't to know that it was said in all innocence, it really was not allowed, but he stood by his word.
It was a semi-detached house at Bramcote Camp. At the back was the canal, and it was a good house, but of course in those days no central heating, so very cold in the winter. A minute kitchen, a small lounge, small dining room, 2.5 bedrooms and bathroom upstairs, and of course fully furnished. Pots, crockery, everything. And of course we had got nothing. I always remember that I left Manchester knowing we wouldn't be together properly really for 2 years, with 2 suitcases.
I did some locum work for doctors in the area, one in particular who was near the camp, and he offered me a job, so I stayed in the area for that reason, and that's why I live where I do. The ultimate in not preparing, I was due to come out of the army in August. I had nowhere to live. Patricia, my wife, was very pregnant with our first child. and nowhere to take her when we'd had the baby. It was the ultimate in bad family planning.